Hey guys, welcome to Big Sister. I hope you guys are having a wonderful top of your week. I have so much to do, to include I need to wash my hair, but I'm a little hesitant because I've had a cold and I've been under the weather for the past few days. Actually, the past few days has been better, but I was under the weather like the past weekend and a few days earlier. But I need to wash my hair. I just need to, so I'm just gonna risk it and get under the dryer so that versus it air drying. But anywho, guys, I want to talk with you about something, and it's something I want to say to parents, all parents right now. You cannot expect anything from your children that you have not given to them, and you have not taught them, and you have not demonstrated, and you have not practiced with them. You can't expect something from your children. You cannot expect them to want to be protective of you and to want to provide for you if you are not that person, if you did not give that to them. Sometimes in the early stages of parenthood, it can be very tough. The child is very dependent on you for everything, and that is one of the reasons why it's best to wait until you're ready to have a child and you're not a child yourself, because it's even more challenging at that time because you are still a child. And the frontal lobe of children are not fully developed, or any human is not fully developed until we are 27 years old. So imagine trying to having a baby at 16 or 18. You're still a child, and there's going to be a lot of errors and things that are made. But nevertheless, guys, when it comes to children, you have to realize that those stages when they're young and they're dependent on you, you can't go anywhere, and they need you, while it is challenging, just understand that that is the role of the parent, you as the parent at that time. If you're somebody that you like your freedom, you like hanging out with your friends, then I'm telling you, don't have children, because they're cute and they smell nice, but they have needs. And so let's say you're a parent that you've neglected the child. You may not have even had the child at a late age. You may not have had the child early in teen years, but you had the child, you're an adult. But yet and still, there are parents who neglect their children and they don't protect their children, and their children are expendable for some reason. Maybe it's for a relationship. Maybe it is for your own needs, whatever it is. And people will have children, and the children become like what I call farm hands. You have children, so now, number one, so you can get more taxes, so you keep having more of them, right? Some people do that. And then also, the children become house slaves. Yes, children are supposed to know how to clean and to do certain things, but we're talking about when the mother, father, whatever, they don't do anything, and the children lose their childhood because they have to carry most of the weight of the household. A lot of it falls on the older sibling. The older sibling suddenly becomes the mother, that even when the mother or father's home, they're getting everything. If the baby cries, they have to go do this. If anything spills, anything happens, go get me this, go get me that, go get me this, pick this up, do this, clean this, that, get me my water, do that, bring me the remote, right? And so what happens is that older sibling or those children are used to running the household. So then when mom and dad comes home, there's a power clash because the child wants to intervene. That older sibling wants to intervene because they're used to being the one that's running the household all day. But mom or dad comes in and lets you know and put that child back in their place. Hey, I'm the adult around here. But nevertheless, it is that child that never has a moment to sit down. They're running back and forth and helping you with everything. And now there are some parents that will say, well, I work and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. That's what you're supposed to do. Congratulations. Let the fireworks go off. And I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, but that's a reality check. That's your job. That's nothing for you to be. What does that have to do with your kid? They didn't ask to be here. Most of them are still virgins. You being a parent, that's your job. That's your position. It's sort of like a police officer wanting people to congratulate them for being a police officer. And or entitled. You see police officers that are like that. Some of them are this way because they're on the beat and they're doing all these different things. They feel entitled that, they can be a little negligent here or there because after all, they've been on the force forever and they've sacrificed and they've seen things. No, you're a parent. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't understand how parents will say, I cook and that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not saying that any child should take their parents for granted or any child should look at their parent and say, oh, that's what you're supposed to do, because they could have not done that. There are parents who don't do that. But what I'm saying to the parent is to understand that you can't trump the feelings of your children or the needs and say, well, because you gave birth to them and because you provide that, they have to do everything, just about everything. And they're losing their childhood. And sometimes they end up abusing their siblings or hating them. Or when they get older, you never see them again because of how you dealt with them. Giving birth, that's great, but that's not anything for you to hold over your child. You chose to have a baby. You chose to have them. Oh, I could have aborted you. Well, thankfully you didn't, but what does that have to do with the child? I could have gave you up for adoption. Rest. But what does that have to do with you making that choice? Whether you had aborted the child or whether you gave up the child for adoption has nothing to do with them. That would have been your choice. You see what I'm saying? It's like there's nothing that it should be used against the child to leverage yourself against your child, because those were all your choices. And your child still have their whole life ahead of them. But there are some parents who they want to hold this thing over their child's heads and behave in this manner where they feel like, I gave you the basics. Deal with it. And so now what happens, they are this way throughout the whole child's life, and the child gets older. And parents, you have to realize that as you may be older than the child you're in a position of authority, and you're strong and they're young and they're little and they're teeter-tottering and they need you right now. They don't have anything. They're only 12, they're 8, they're 14. But they're growing into themselves. And you're getting more frail, whether you know it or not, whether you look it or not, whether you run and exercise or not. You're still getting older. Age is coming. And with age comes different things. And you may be in a position that you need your child. You see, no matter how much of a healthy eating habit you have and how much you look good right now or whatever we do to keep ourselves up, life is unpredictable. We know there are people who were at their peak, at their best, were healthy, and suddenly they were paralyzed or they had dementia or something happened to them. They are now vegetables. All they could do is move their eyes. Life can happen. And you want to be where anything happens in your life or something takes place in your life, that you have children that want to rally around you because that's what you did for them. And there are some parents who did not do those things for their children, but they had children who still helped them. But it wasn't because they had an example of it, but they chose to do that. And what that really is that the parent is actually getting the basic decency of any human being, rather than that of a child-parent connection. But then there are other children who they don't, because they don't know how to. How can they give you something you did not give to them? How can they feel to protect you when you did not protect them? Why would they feel loyalty towards you when you did not have it for them? Why would they want you to spend the rest of your golden years in their home when you kick them out as soon as they turn 18 or 19? Why should they stay in your house? Or why do you think they want you to live with them and not charge you out of your Social Security when you were charging them out of the little McDonald's money they made when they just started working? And some children will not do that. Parents, we have to realize that we are getting older and we will need our children. So if you are neglectful and if you are mean-spirited and you are hateful, and right now you're doing things and it's giving you a lot of pleasure to make your child cry because they need you, understand at some point you will need them, and you may be so bent out of shape and so bitter in your heart that you believe it don't matter. Oh, yes it does. Yes, it's going to matter. In the height of bitterness and in the height of spitefulness and maliciousness, where some parents can be, you will say anything because you are driven by your anger. But when you're in a state of vulnerability and helplessness, you will think of your child and you will want your child to help you. And we live in a society where people will say to your child, that's your mom, that's your dad, that's your cousin. That's Uncle Ernest, twice removed. If the child has lived their life where they were at an unfair advantage for so long and they were not protected and they were mistreated, how dare us as a society, how dare we as a society turn around and tell that child what they should feel? They don't recognize that as a parent. Define dad, define mom. And when you define that person, you're going to see that, oh no, this person came to work, but they didn't do work. You ever have a person that you know that works at the job? They are an employee there, but they know how to float around all day. They know when to go to the bathroom. They know when to go walk around and goes down the hallway and walk around till it's time to check out. The person that's at work doing absolutely nothing with a super dark screen. Well, they're an employee and they have a badge and they are on the payroll as an employee, but as far as work performance, no. So that is something that you have to think about. That is something that you have to consider as a parent, and understand that we don't do things to get from our parents, from our children, because there are parents who have given everything to their children and their children still turn around and kicked up their heels at them. That happened. But you know what? I believe when things like that happen, that life, and I believe God will touch the hearts of other people to help such parents. At the end of the day, the parent know they did their best. And because of that, I believe good things will still come their way, even if they are spurned by their own children. But then there are some parents that they want something from their children that they never gave to them. And they will say, but I'm your mom, I'm your dad. But at the time when you neglected your child was saying, but I'm your daughter, I'm your son. And that did not matter. So remember, you reap what you sow. What you do, you're going to get back. Your child cannot give you something that they were never given. Now, you may later on in your life, and hopefully at some point you realize, you know what, I should have done better. And hopefully you are humble enough to go to your child and apologize. And not apologize in this prideful way. And give your child space to heal. And understand that maybe things may be reconciled and maybe not. Maybe the child will come around and want to help you. But also accept that if that child just feels completely alien from you, they're not a bad person. It's just that that's what you taught them. You were alien to them. You left them. You abandoned them. You were not there. You let them down. They've had that moment. You see, a child is brought into this world. We all have a filial love. You see it on a newborn baby. They love you unconditionally. You can do no wrong. But sometimes there is a moment, something you did to a point that you destroy that filial love. They realize now they cannot trust you. They realize now you're not a person who will do what you say, and they protect themselves. And while you never see it because they're still living in your house, it stays with them. And as soon as they get their freedom, they distance themselves. When you are now vulnerable, when you now need help, you'll see that they're indifferent or they don't care at all because that is what you did to them. So parents, be very careful. I know there are parents who will get on and who will say things like, that don't matter. It does not matter, parents. Parents must get out of the godlike mentality. I'm not saying that we don't make mistakes. I am a parent. I have 2 boys and a girl. I'm not saying that we can't make mistakes, but you must always be in a position of seeing your children as individuals, as people, being willing to apologize while still keeping your position of authority as a parent. And you put into your children while they're young. It's hard and it's tough. They can't walk yet. You got to put them in the car seat, but eventually they'll outgrow the car seat. And now you don't need the car seat. And now they need you for everything to dress them, and eventually they won't need you to dress them. And they need you to cook and and you're doing all this stuff, and you can't really go to the places you normally will go. Eventually you see, like, they get older. You can leave the house for a bit. They're 12, they're 13, they're 14, they're 15. Slowly you're going to get your freedom again because they're going to be involved doing different things, and they get older, and all of a sudden you're free to walk around and they're free to do the things that they need to do. But you have developed, they love you and they appreciate you, right? If you have those type of children, right? And so now when you're in need, they know that because you demonstrated that to them. They're going to come to your aid. They're going to help you when you're sick. They're going to help. They're going to be concerned if you fall and you cry. But if you were that rough parent, and if you were impatient with them when they needed your help, they need your help to show them how to write and to do things. You're yelling at them. When you become frail and you can't do things fast, your children will be just as impatient with you because that's what they know. And a lot of times when you sow those seeds of fear and hurt and meanness into them, sometimes it springs up. And unfortunately, those children have to learn how to work those things out so they don't continue having the same behaviors with their children. And sometimes you find it's to one extreme or the other. Either that child grows up to become just like the parent they despise, or they want so much not to be their parents that they spoil their children too much. So there needs to be a balance in between, and that is going to come with getting to the root of the hurt and the pain, dealing with that, maybe or maybe not getting an apology from the parents and all of that. But once you become an adult, and I'm addressing children now, once you become an adult, you can't keep blaming your adult parents. You're an adult now. Yes, what they did was legitimate, but now it's time for you as the adult to sort those things out and work through your pain so you can make better decisions for yourself, your future, your legacy, your lineage, your generation. And parents, I will tell you now, it's not too late to make it right. Don't wait until you get a bad diagnosis and now you're calling your kids, because they're going to figure it out. They're smart. All these years you didn't care about me, but now you're learning that the doctor got to remove the bottom half of your whole body, and now you want to come stump your way in my life. I don't think so. That's how your children are going to feel. They're not going to do the right thing. Oh, they're going to check you into a nursing room on Kool-Aid Lane. So please, being parents can be hard, but understand what you put into your children, you will get it back. If you don't love them, if you don't protect them now, if you ridicule them now, if you're rough with them right now, how can you expect them to give you something they've never had? Just think about that.